My name is Bayarjargal Garamtseren. I'm from Mongolia and I'm a Langham Scholar. I'm married with wife and 4 children. Today I work as a project manager for a team that is doing a Bible translation from the biblical languages into Mongolian. But I'm also a pastor of a church called Life Community Church. And then I also help in training Mongolian pastors and leaders in preaching. And we also do Christian book translation along with my wife. Mongolia is a landlocked country between Russia and China in Central Asia. We're predominantly Buddhist country, but we were also a communist country until 1990. When Mongolia became a communist country in 1921, for 70 years Mongolia was totally closed country. No churches, no underground churches. So towards the end of the 1980s, all the changes were starting to happen in Russia. Same thing was happening in Mongolia. When the country opened up, for the first time we had a freedom of religion. That's when all the missionaries came in. My desire was to learn English. One of my classmates told me, if you go to church, you will find lots of foreigners and you can practice your English. I was always looking for purpose in my life. I had these questions like, why am I in this world? What am I supposed to do with my life? When I came to church, I found these people who are quite different. So they really, in a way, really welcomed me, but also surprised me. So I was a student studying finance and banking, and at the same time I was doing church planting along with the missionary. In terms of my calling, I would say my first and primary calling is Bible translation. Having studied and completed my PhD in biblical studies gave me the opportunity, or they equipped me for the work I'm doing now in Bible translation. Our project, Mongolian Standard Version, has a huge potential impact for the church in Mongolia, because if we are able to provide a good translation that reads well and that is understandable and that is faithful to the original languages, this will enable pastors and leaders in their preaching.
I think it is one of the most important projects for Mongolian Christianity. When Mongolians do the translation directly from the original language, they're bringing the Bible much closer to the heart of Mongolians. Without God's calling and vision given to Bayar, we couldn't have start this project.
Through the Langham preaching training, we've been training and continue to train Mongolian pastors. Now we have our 3rd batch. We had 2 groups who went through the 3-year cycle program, graduated, and these are pastors from the city and from the rural areas. I can say that through Langham preaching, the quality of preaching in the Mongolian churches has increased.
Яг Монголд ер нь пасторууд ер нь сайн дурын хүмүүс аявих пастор эдэн шүү дээ. Ингээд зарим нь библийн сургууль бас төгсөөгүй хүмүүс бас байгаа. Тийм учраас ийм христчин боловсрал буюу тэр тусмаа бусдаа илүү боловсралтай төвшин хүмүүс бусад пасторууд бол орон нутгийн удирдагч нарт заана гэдэг нь амар чухал байгаа.
Өнгөрсөн үед бол I graduated from Bible College and I've learned some preaching methods, but the Langham preaching method was something significant and very different. So really helping us. Before we were preaching just what's in our head. We cannot do that with God's word. We really need to be faithful to the text and observe the text. So when the Mongolian pastors are trained by this kind of training, they can teach God's word faithfully and truly. So there are so many cults are in Mongolia from outside. So we need to bring up our people on the foundation of God's word. That's why Langham preaching training is really helpful in good ways of training our pastors, and that they deeply rooted on God's word.
We are also doing Christian publishing as a family. My wife translates the book and I edit, and so far we have published 5 books. Langham Literature has been supporting us being able to translate these books. We select these titles that will be beneficial for Mongolian Christians and leaders. We want to publish books that will be useful for long term, especially for this phase of the church in Mongolia. Good for the foundation, building a strong biblical foundation of the church.
In Mongolia now, like, everyone wants to go out. Everyone, like the youth, they want to leave the country for well-being, you know, like for good fortune, right? But Bayar came to Mongolia for Mongolian Christians, and is it really a gift to Mongolian Christianity?
I myself learned lots of things through his ministry, and next generation leaders are learning from me. So your donation really has helped us. I would say thank you very much. Because of that seed you planted in him, it's not stayed in him alone, but all the Mongolian pastors benefit from it.
Thank you so much for supporting the work of Langham, and I'm grateful to be a person who has been or continues to be involved in all 3 aspects. My dream is that Mongolian Church will be well suited in our context and culture, so that we know how to live our Christian lives. I want to see well-established churches in Mongolia and Mongolian Christians who are genuinely Christian but genuinely Mongolian.